Welcome to the month of June. Can you believe we're in June already? Where is this year running to? Now, I'm starting a new Q&A series, a question and answer series, to answer a couple of questions for my listeners. The question I'm answering today is, I listened to your podcast about the 3 support systems I need as a Christian businesswoman. How do I find a Christian business coach and a Christian business support group? Stay tuned as I answer this question in today's episode. I have a review from Amina Shade on Apple Podcast. Amina Shade titled her review, Beautiful Atmosphere. Amina Shade writes, "Thank you for this. Very encouraging, very inspiring." Thank you so much, Amina Shade, for your encouraging review. If this podcast has inspired or encouraged you, please leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcast so that this podcast can reach more people. Scroll to the bottom of my podcast page where you're listening to this episode. You will see the ratings and review section. Locate and click on the Write a Review purple link. Enter a title for your review. Click on the 5-star icon, type your written review for this podcast, click on submit, and that's it. Thank you so much in advance for leaving me a review. Let's dive into today's episode. Hey sis, welcome to the Start That Business podcast, where you will find practical solutions that empower you to start your service-based business. I'm your host, Chichi Ukomadu, an entrepreneur, wife, mom of 3, and a Jesus follower. 10 years ago, I was afraid of giving up my desire to build a corporate career and say yes to the Holy Spirit's nudge to start that business. I believe personal fulfillment comes from letting go of your way and saying yes to God's way so you can become all you were created to be. If you're ready to find personal fulfillment, grab a cup of coffee, tea, or hot cocoa, and your favorite snack. It's time to take your first step to start that business. You know the one I'm talking about? Yes, that one you've been putting up for a long time. This question reminds me of the story of Abraham's servant finding a wife for Isaac in Genesis 24. Abraham had called his oldest servant and he told him to go find a wife for Isaac, his son, among his people. For some reason, this question reminds me about that story. Now, when Abraham's servant went and he got to the place where Abraham's relatives were staying, there was something he did first in his search to find the right wife for Isaac. And that is where I'm going to get the answer for this question. So how do I find a Christian business coach and a Christian business support group? The number one and the first thing you should do, just like Abraham's servant did, is to pray and ask the Holy Spirit to help you in your search. That was exactly what the servant did. He prayed. He asked God to help him in his search. And he even gave God they call it a test. He was like, okay, the person that comes and gives me water to drink and my camels, let that be the person. Now, you might want to go to that extent, but just pray because the Holy Spirit knows the right business coach for you. It's not every Christian business coach that is supposed to coach you. It's not every Christian business support group that you're supposed to be in. That's why the first thing you should do is to pray and ask the Holy Spirit to help you in your search. He will lead you, he will guide you to help you find the right coach for you and the right support group that has been designed to help you succeed. That is very key. That is the first thing you should do before you start Googling, before you start doing anything. Pray. Just say a quick prayer. Say, Holy Spirit, I'm trying to find a Christian business coach that can help me succeed and a Christian business support group. Help me find one. And that's the first step. The second thing you can do to help you find a Christian business coach or a Christian business support group is ask other entrepreneurs for a recommendation. There's nothing like a good recommendation. Maybe someone that has used the services of that business coach. So ask within your circle, your friends, ask people that entrepreneurs, maybe online, on social media, you can ask a question, oh, I'm looking for a really good Christian business coach. Can you recommend someone? So asking for a recommendation is another way you can find a Christian business coach or a Christian business support group. The third thing you can do to find a Christian business coach is to do an online search. Now, this online search will look different when you're searching for a business coach and when you're searching for a group. So let me start with the Christian business coach. So when you're doing an online search for a Christian business coach, you want to search on a podcast. So you want to go on, say, the Apple podcast or the Android podcast app or Spotify. You want to do search there. So you want to do a podcast search. You want to do a social media search. And you also want to do a Google search. So those are the three kinds of online searches you can do to find a Christian business coach. The first one is a podcast search. The second one is a social media search. The third is a Google search. Now, if you're doing a podcast search, for example, you go to the Apple Podcast app. Once you open the app, go to the search bar and type Christian business coach. I can assure you, you'll have a couple of people pull up on that have described themselves in their podcast description as a Christian business coach. That's one way. When you do a social media search, you can use the same keyword. So you can search for Christian business coach, say on Instagram search, type it there, or on Facebook search. It will pull up a whole bunch of people. The third, it will be Google search, which will be the last resort because Google search will give you a much larger result. So starting from podcast gives you a concise result. Then going to social media a little bigger than Google is like, ooh, the whole well. So on Google, also type Christian business coach. If you want to be specific, you can say Christian business coach and put your city or your country where you want to find the coaching. So that is how you can do an online search when you're looking for a Christian business coach. Now, when you're looking for a Christian business support group, the online search is a little different. So for the Christian business support group, you're searching on Facebook because you find that most groups are on Facebook. So Facebook groups. So you go to Facebook groups and you do a search. You can use keywords like Christian business, service-based business for Christians, online business for Christians. When you're searching on Facebook groups, you are searching based on the kind of business you are doing that you want to find a group for. So notice is different from the keyword we used when we're searching for Christian business coach. So do a search on Facebook group. Another place you can find groups is a site called meetup.com, meetup.com, meetup.com. You can go there and do the same thing, search for Christian business, service-based business, online business, and it will pull up a whole bunch of groups. Then another way you can also find a Christian business support group is if you find a Christian business coach. Most Christian business coaches have a free support group on Facebook, on another platform that you can join and get the support you need. So that is another place you can also find Christian business support group. I hope this answer has helped you on your search. Let me recap real quick. How do I find a Christian business coach and a Christian business support group? The first thing is to pray and ask the Holy Spirit to help you in your search. The second thing is to ask other entrepreneurs or other people in your circle for recommendation. The third thing is to do an online search. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on today's episode. I hope my answer was helpful to you. I hope you learned something new and you were encouraged If you have a specific business question, like the one I just answered today that you want me to answer, please go to startthatbusinesspodcast.com and send me your question. Please share this episode with someone who is looking to start a service-based business or someone who just started so they can get the help they need. Keep listening for more exciting episodes. I will meet you here next week. Hey sis, before you go, if this podcast has encouraged you, helped you, inspired you, or taught you something new, please head over to Apple Podcasts and search for Start That Business Podcast and leave me a written review. That's one of the ways I know this podcast is impacting your life. Thank you so much. I'll also love to connect with you on Instagram. My handle is @ChichiUkomadu. Until next time, always remember you have all you need to start that business. I'll see you soon.